What's going on? Welcome to the 2021 edition of the Off the Schneid preview series, where I'll be going over all 32 NFL teams, breaking down their roster, schedule, giving you a record prediction, as well as helping out with some betting tips. If this is your first time on the channel, hit that subscribe button, and if you like what you hear, go ahead and smash that like button as well. Don't forget to check the description for links for the Off the Schneid social media and interact with me directly. I want to give a massive shout out to OurLads Scouting Services and OurLads.com, as all roster and depth chart graphics are straight off their site. If you've never been, go check them out immediately. I use their site for all NFL, fantasy, and betting purposes, and there's a link in the description for their site. Again, do me a huge favor and hit that like and subscribe button, but enough of that, let's get to your favorite NFL football preview. All right, we're taking a look at the Seattle Seahawks. We will start at quarterback, the most important position in football like we always do, and one of the best in my opinion. We got Russell Wilson. There's a lot of people talking about, Russell Wilson falling off last year, having a down year, nonsense like that. I'm not here for any Russell Wilson slander whatsoever. So I don't want to hear it. I mean, if you want to leave a comment, go nuts. But the facts are he basically had a career year last year. He was 7 yards shy of his career passing yards total. 40 touchdown passes, which was a career high. He still had 500 plus rush yards, two rushing touchdowns. He did throw for... He did have the most passing attempts of his career last year, which is good. They're committing to, letting Russ cook a little bit. Here's my thing. They need to let him cook a little more, turn up the heat and keep passing the ball, man. You have one of the best quarterbacks in the game right now. You have a surefire Hall of Famer. As long as he keeps playing and puts the stats up, he's got a Super Bowl ring. It's a travesty that he hasn't had. I think he's gotten like one MVP vote in his career or something like that, which is silly, but it is what it is. And who knows? It doesn't matter for his Hall of Fame resume, in my opinion. As long as he keeps playing, keeps putting up stats, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. So there you go. One of the best in the game. It is what it is. I'm not going to say too much more about Russell Wilson. I love him. He's been a top 3 quarterback for me. I've said it all along. Top 3 quarterback for me since his second season in the NFL. I'm not here for any Russell Wilson slander. They will not trade him. You do not trade Russell Wilson, period, end of story. I don't want to hear it. You do not trade a Russell Wilson to anybody. You keep him happy. You keep him on your team, and you roll him out there every Sunday. Geno Smith comes back, sure. He's been with the team for a while, knows the offense. It's a new offense, but either way, he's been with the team for a long time, knows the coaching staff for the most part, and, quality backup, and he's just fine to be there, kind of a thing. Chris Carson comes back from injury. I think he played 12 games last year, something like that. He's never played a full 16 game season, but I'm not obscenely scared of that. I think it was 14, 15, and 12 games. Plays through a lot of injuries, so he's out there most of the time. I'm not extremely concerned about Chris Carson's durability, even though it is a small concern for some people, which I can understand. But the dude is a bit of a unit, so I think he can take that punishment. And he is, if you don't mind some P's and Q's on your fantasy team throughout the season, he's a great fantasy asset as well. Rashad Penny, former first-round pick, is still there. Bust label is pretty warranted, if I'm being honest, just because he was a first-round pick, first-round running back at that. So I hated the pick when it happened, and here we are a few years later, and it really hasn't panned out for them. Travis Homer comes back. DJ Dallas, 4th-round pick last year, comes back. Quality depth guys. That's probably your running back room in Seattle. Those 4 guys. Alex Collins is still there as well. Kind of a thing. Who's practice squad, bring him in. If need be, like they did that last season, kind of a thing. Tight ends are in a good spot. Will Disley, Colby Parkinson from Stanford, 4th-round pick. Gerald Everett comes over with Shane Waldron from the LA Rams. They're in a great spot there. Waldron's a former tight end guy, so we'll see how they fit into this offense. I feel like it'll be pretty similar to how it always has been. They just rotate guys, use 2 tight end sets a fair amount, and they get their reps, they get their catches, and they get balls thrown to them, kind of a thing. One of the best duos in the NFL I'm a huge DK Metcalf guy. I really, really, really like DK Metcalf. I think I've said it before. I'll say it again right now. I think he's probably the next great wide receiver, the next Julio Jones type of a guy. That's just how I see him. I think that he's going to be a great wide receiver in the league. He has all the intangibles and a great quarterback to throw him the ball, at least for now. So I'm a huge, huge believer in DK Metcalf, and Tyler Lockett is a fantastic complement to DK Metcalf. Their skill sets, makes a lot of sense for them to play on the same team. So that's a great tandem right there. Dwayne Eskridge, I hated that draft pick. I just, and again, you don't plan for this, but I said it before. Cade Johnson, there's not much difference for me between Cade Johnson and Dwayne Eskridge, except for the draft capital, obviously. On the field, I mean, we'll see. Maybe I'm completely wrong, but like from where I'm sitting at right now in July, Cade Johnson and Dwayne Eskridge, there's not an extreme amount of difference between those two guys skill-wise. Maybe there is, and I'm completely wrong, but that's just where I'm sitting at right now. We'll see how the year kind of plays out and how it shakes out. And I could be completely wrong, but I just didn't like that draft pick at all. It just didn't make a lot of sense to me. I thought they should have traded down, got more capital, and still ended up with a guy like Dwayne Eskridge or Cade Johnson. Obviously they're looking for a slot receiver. I understand that, but there was a fair amount of them. Shee Smith went super late, 6th round, I think. He could have been a guy they could have targeted, things like that, but we'll see how it shakes out for Dwayne Eskridge. I do like Freddie Swain. I think he can take a step forward in this offense. This will be his 2nd season, 6th round pick out of Florida. I believe Florida. I like what he can do. But beyond that, I mean, Tamarian Terry, a lot of guys like him as another undrafted free agent. We'll see how he fits in. I mean, he probably he's got a good shot to make this team. We'll see how it shakes out as far as stats are concerned once the roster is set and we find out who makes this team. It's going to be, there's a lot of guys vying for that, 5th, 6th wide receiver spot on this team, 4th, 5th, no, not even 4th, 5th and 6th wide receiver spot on this team. So guys that can do extra things like Cade Johnson in the return game are going to have a leg up, in my opinion. Offensive line is in a bit of a tough spot, as it always has been. Last year they were up near the top of the league for sacks allowed, top 5 worst for sacks allowed. They had 48 allowed. They did make a small attempt to get a little bit better in a trade for Gabe Jackson. They traded their 5th round pick for Gabe Jackson with the Raiders. Great. That's a good move. That's a very good move. I like that a lot. It does make their overall offensive line better. I just thought they should have done a little more. Potentially they still do. There's still some free agents out there that they could bring in. I thought Stone Forsythe was an absolute steal in the 6th round for them. He could be the left tackle of the future for this team, or maybe right tackle. We'll see. But Jamarco Jones has been a bit of a project, and it might be now or never kind of a thing, or at least now might be his chance to really shine and really show if he can be the left tackle of this team. He's only 25 years old. Ohio State, I believe, played left tackle for his last couple years there. I believe, don't quote me on that, but he has the experience with a big school. So at least he does have experience playing that position, and maybe he can step in and play that, because Dwayne Brown, he'll be 36 when the season starts. I don't think that I don't think he's going to be on this team. I think there's a strong possibility that they cut him and save the cap there. I'm not exactly sure what it is off the top of my head, but I think they can save a significant amount of cap space letting Dwayne Brown go, which will bring me to another point. Moving to the defensive side of the ball, Jarran Reed, I don't know how or why you let Jarran Reed you let him go. Basically, I think they cut him is what I believe happened. I'm pretty sure. 2nd on the team in sacks with 6.5 last year. He was just an absolute disruptor on that defensive line. I don't see how you just let him walk. I really don't. Especially, they have struggled historically. They didn't last year, mind you. They did get after the quarterback a fair bit. And I think that does still continue, to be honest. But I think having a guy like Jarran Reed on this roster just makes the whole team defense that much better. And keeping points off the board is going to be a bit of a struggle for the Seahawks, in my opinion. So I think that was a horrible move. I really think that was a horrible move, especially when you have a Dwayne Brown that you can essentially, save that cap space that they wanted to do. They wanted him to restructure. He said no, so they cut him. Why not just, keep him under contract? I don't think he was, talking about sitting out or anything like that. So either way, I digress. It is what it is. I do like how they brought in Kerry Hyder. Carlos Dunlap is still there. LJ Collier has just been a bit of a letdown, but we'll see if he takes that step this year. It'd really be good for this team if he kind of does. Alton Robinson has been good. Darrell Taylor has been good. Benson Mayawa has been good. They brought in Alden Smith, which really doesn't matter. I'm not too concerned about that. Al Woods, they have penciled in here as the starter, but I see Rasheem Green being that guy. He led this team in sacks a couple of years ago. So I see Poona Ford, Rasheem Green, Kerry Hyder, Dunlap, Collier, a bunch of rotational guys, which isn't a bad idea. They can consistently, try to get after the quarterback on, second, third down type of a thing. So nothing wrong with that there. Jordan Brooks, their first round pick last year, I thought was a great pick. I really did like that. And now it shows why I liked it. And a lot of people hated it. I liked it. This is why, because now they're absolutely in need of linebackers. I think Cody Barton or Ben Burr-Kirven will be the third linebacker. The Seahawks run more 3 linebacker sets than like 4-3 base type sets than anyone else in the league. And maybe that changes this year because they do have a lot of nickel type guys, nickel and dime type corners that can play those roles. So maybe this is the year that it changes and they start running a lot more nickel and dime packages. And honestly, I do think that does happen, just the way the NFL is moving and what the team now has on the roster type of a thing, what players and skill sets they now have on the roster. I think they're going to have to do that. Ahkello Witherspoon comes in from San Francisco. Love that. That was a great pickup by them. Trey Flowers absolutely has to take that step this year. I'm not so sure he will. If he does, this team will be a ton better. I'm not so sure he does. It just hasn't been there. They're both big guys, over 6 foot, 6'2" and 6'3", I believe, which is very, Seattle Seahawks defense has been for the last, 10 years roughly. Trey Brown, they drafted. I didn't love that. There's better options, I thought. Pierre Desir comes in, who's, a good depth guy, I suppose, but you don't particularly want to, rely on him week in, week out. Jamal Adams, one of the best safeties in the game. He can do a lot of things. Double-digit sacks, almost 9.5, I believe, last year. Led the team. Marquise Blair, Quandre Diggs, Amadi, DJ Reed are all solid guys, especially in those nickel and dime packages, especially Amadi and DJ Reed and Quandre Diggs, all, nickel dime type, nickel corners, that sort of a thing that you can kind of rotate out if need be. I think DJ Reed might be a kick return, punt return type guy, helps out on special teams as well as playing nickel corner for this team. So there you go. There's the breakdown of the roster. I think, honestly, what really kind of made me struggle about this team, and we'll get to that in the record prediction, is they just really didn't get any better, which makes me nervous because every other team in this division did get better, in my opinion, by a fair amount, or, in the 49ers case, return from injuries, that kind of a thing. So there you go. There's your breakdown for the roster and the depth chart. Let's move over and check out their record prediction. So there you go. There's the prediction. I think I'm going to catch some heat from Seahawks fans on this one. I know they just won the division last year. I called them to win the division. They did. I bet on them to win the division. They did. I just don't know if they're going to be able to get it done this year. I think every team in the NFC West improved or has returning players coming back from injury. The Seahawks are not one of those teams. I don't think they improved at all. They got an F grade from me. I just think that they're the exact same team as they were last year. And, with that being said, obviously they won the division. They could win it again. I'm not saying that they don't have a chance. That's for sure. I think that they absolutely have a shot to repeat. It's just what concerns me is, again, the other teams in this division improved quite a bit and they didn't. We'll go over the schedule in a second here. To win the division, to repeat, 3.8 on your money to 1. I love that number. I love that number. I just am not sure that they're going to be able to get it done. So I don't think I'll be betting on them. I think the Cardinals number is I think they should be a little closer. It's shocking that the 49ers are the favorites to win this division betting wise. Most years, a lot of years, there is a team that goes from worst to first in the division. They finished last to the previous season and they win the division the next season. That's basically what the odds makers are saying the Niners do this year. I think there's a decent possibility of that happening. We'll get to the Niners and go watch their video if you want to see what I predict for them. So let's go through a quick breakdown of the games here. There you see low, high, my 8 on the low side. They won 12 games last year, 11 on the high side. I'm guessing 9 and 8, 17 games this year. Why am I doing that? Let's go through the schedule here. They open the season in Indianapolis. Much improved team, very good defense, should be a better offense. They can run the ball against this team, absolutely. Indianapolis can, right? Opening game, fans in the stands. I think Indianapolis is the only team that hasn't said they're going to be full this year, but I fully expect that to happen by the time September 12th comes around. And that's gonna be a tough game. The atmosphere is gonna be crazy. I think in every home team week 1 is got an extremely good chance to win their game, in my opinion, or any home opener. They've got a very good chance. So let's go through that. Indianapolis, tough game on the road there. At home against Tennessee, very good Tennessee Titans team. I think they're going to be able to throw the ball against the Seahawks here. Obviously, Julio and A.J. Brown there now. Derrick Henry still, Derrick Henry. I think the Titans have a good shot to come into Seattle and steal that win. Then they go to Minnesota, which is their home opener. And Minnesota's done well, picking up guys for their pass defense, bolstering their pass defense type of a thing. So that's a tough game. So they have 2 on the road against a home opener team kind of thing in their first 3 games, and then they're on the road against San Francisco in a divisional matchup, which is, basically a must win for whatever home team, inside division, you have to win those games, at the very least kind of split. So, and I've basically predicted that for the most part, splits home and home against San Francisco, Arizona, and the Rams. There's potential they can go either way, but it's an easy way to look at it type of a thing, especially in a year like we're going to have this year. At home against the Rams, still a tough game even at home. I think the Rams are a very good team. I gave them way too much flack last year. I thought that they would struggle more than they did, especially defensively. I thought they would struggle more than they did. I'd like to say that I was right about them offensively, but I didn't expect their defense to be as good as it was. So there you go. So clearly they are that good. When you have 2 of the best players in the game at their positions, period, or defensive players, period, the Rams, you're gonna do well on defense. So I should have looked at that a little better. In Pittsburgh, I think that they can definitely beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think the Steelers have a bit of a tough year, so I think they can go in there and get that win. It's a tough game, extreme west, extreme east, tough game, but I think they can do that. I think they have the better roster all around. At home against New Orleans, I like them to get that win for sure. We'll see how the New Orleans Saints look this year, and go watch their video if you want to see it. It's gonna be an interesting year for the Saints. Jacksonville Jaguars at home, better team. I think they get that win. Then they have bye week 9. That's an okay bye week for this team. Veteran team, hoping to make the playoffs, that sort of thing. It's not a bad time to take a break kind of a thing. And then they go on the road against the Packers. It's only November. It's not, it's not December, January in Green Bay type of thing. So it's not extremely cold just quite yet. Maybe they have a cold snap then, we'll see. But winnable game, but we'll see what happens, especially if Aaron Rodgers is or is not on the Packers this year. At home against Arizona, I'll give them that win at home to split. On the road against Washington, that's a fringe game. That's one of those games that's going to, decide the low, high, my type of a thing. Very, very good team defensively. And as long as they can keep up offensively, I think that that's definitely a winnable game for the Washington football team. Winnable game for the Seahawks, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm probably giving them the loss there if I'm being honest. Then at home against the Niners, I think they can get that win. On the road against Houston, everybody's going to beat Houston this year, so the Seahawks get that win. At the Rams, that brand new stadium, should be a winning team. Both teams should be winning teams probably around that time. So it's going to be a very big game. One that I think that the Rams probably win. We can split the home and home, like I said. At home against Chicago, they get that win against the Bears. At home against the Lions, they absolutely get that win as well. And then, that last week 18 now, that week 18 game there could really decide a lot for where they fall in this low high my, and potentially a playoff for both teams. Potentially that could decide this division. That's a very, very big game right there. Week 18 on the road against division foe Arizona Cardinals. So there you go. We'll see. My whole thesis with the Seahawks is, I potentially see this window closing a little bit. And if they don't make the playoffs this year, I think it's time. I really do. I'm going to say it. I think it's time to clean house a little bit. I think, John Schneider could probably go. I think, Pete Carroll can probably go. And then, what happens with Shane Waldron, who just came in. Ken Norton's the defensive coordinator. If they don't make the playoffs this year and they kind of fall off, I might be a year early. I might be a year early on that. If they miss the playoffs this year, okay, it is what it is. You're not gonna panic, fire everybody. I get that. There is some frustration there. So if they miss the playoffs this year and miss the playoffs next year, I think it's time. I think it's time to move on, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's going to depend on the relationship between Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll, because if one of them's leaving, it's going to be Pete Carroll. I'm sorry, but it's going to be Pete Carroll leaving this team before Russell Wilson ever does, in my opinion. At least that's how I would look at it and, react to the situation. So there you go. Let me know what you think in your comments. There's your breakdown for the 2021 Seattle Seahawks.